Hello, welcome to WTPN, We the People Network. I'm here with my illustrious co-host, Ed Dolazal, and we're here just to talk to you today, one-on-one, and pretty exciting. You know, Ed, I've had a lot of people asking me and what we do to kind of stay grounded in the midst of all this chaos and mess. And I see you've got your traditional Tai Chi shirt on today. And I thought you might want to tell us a little bit about, what you do and what we do to stay grounded.
All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Ed Dolazal, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Doug, for co-hosting this. Obviously, we're in the midst of some pretty chaotic times. And I think that anything that one can do to raise their frequency, meaning their energy, vibration, etc., the better off you're going to be. I have been teaching and practicing Qigong and also Tai Chi. 20 years for Qigong, about 15 years for Tai Chi. And it's a discipline that I was called to learn and to teach. And we'll focus on the Tai Chi right now because most people know about it. Tai Chi is, in Chinese, is known as the supreme ultimate. And it is related traditionally to martial arts or Kung Fu. It is also on the spectrum of energy, on the yang side of the energy spectrum, so it's for fighting, and as contrasted to the qigong, which is on the yin end of the spectrum, which is for healing work and also related to traditional Chinese medicine. So we'll focus on Tai Chi. Tai Chi, as I said earlier, derives from martial arts, and every village just about had their own form. And it was very secretive. Obviously, they didn't want to give away any strategic advantage or tactical advantage that they had when they learned how to fight. And it applied to men and women both. The most popular form these days is the Yang family style of Tai Chi. And there are a lot of variations to it. I've studied with Master Wu, Master Yang, Master Yang, and currently I'm learning a new form with Master Mugdis, and it really depends upon what you want to accomplish. Quite honestly, it is excuse me. It's traditionally known for improving balance, movement, flexibility, and generating energy, obviously, as well. So it's yang energy. And most recently, I've been studying the Jinsun Tai Chi Chuan form, which is a medium style form. And the purpose of that particular form, and it involves, just as a quick parenthesis, 108 steps as a minimum. And, depending on how you do it, it can be a lot more. So it takes a while to learn the steps, the details of the steps, how to square your body, and so on. And in contrast to what you may have seen in the movies with Bruce Lee and some of the other martial artists, it's not fast at all. If anything, it is slow. The slower, the better. And paradoxically, the reason we do it slowly is because it really taxes the body, the muscles, and so on, and builds very strong internal energy, the yang energy. The purpose of my following this form from Master Mugdis is so that I can create a basis of energy, a basis of style that will allow me to be more proficient in generating a deeper and more powerful internal energy, which we recreate over the course of time, lots of learning, in something that is called Poshans. So everything that we develop and work on is internal. And just to give you an idea of what that means in terms of push hands and developing this internal energy, we do so that we can actually project this energy intentionally. It's not muscular. It is intentional. So it is, it's a conundrum, really. You're going, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. How can you be strong if you're going to be soft and gentle? Well, it's the old saying of um, a metal, a strong fist or steel fist inside a soft glove, right? And that's what we're doing. So we work on this. It takes time. It took me about 2, 3 years to learn the medium form, and right now I'm working on um, not only leading classes, group classes, and so on, which I've been doing for quite some time, but also to learn how to develop that internal energy that one can externalize through intention. It's very, very tricky. And I am now going to be 74 in a couple of 3 months. And quite honestly, I've never felt so good. Just as a quick parenthesis, I had some back problems. I don't know how they developed, but it was quite painful. So I went to a chiropractor, and we took care of it together. It's been 6 weeks, I guess, roughly. And he said to me, had you not been practicing Qigong and Tai Chi as consistently, and that's the secret to anything that we do, right? It's playing piano, whatever. That I would be in much worse shape. I would be bent over like an old man, walking with a cane and so on. So, you're going to have ups and downs in life like anything else, but the choice is really yours. Are you into the mentality of I'm just going to keep living my life and I'll go in for repairs? Or are you the mindset that says, I'm going to do preventive maintenance, just like you do on a car? You're going to wait for the engine to blow up, or are you going to just change the oil, take it in for regular checkups, etc.? I'm of the latter. I would rather do the maintenance consistently, and I do this just about every day. I know the Qigong is regular. Every day I will do it. The Tai Chi is pretty much the same way. And I'm grateful for it. So my bounce back from a hurt back has been very, very quick. Even the chiropractor said, well, you're pretty good, pretty good. He was impressed. So I'm happy with that. And I would recommend that if you're really interested, that you find somebody locally. Our program, the We the People Network, is national in scope and beyond. There are teachers everywhere. It just depends upon what you're looking for personally.
Well,
For me,
sorry.
right? So for me, for example, in order to achieve that kind of energy development, that internal energy development I refer to that we do through push hands, for example, I was prepared to go to Tibet, to northern India, wherever there was this Tibetan community, or even in Scotland, there's a temple there. But we must accept the fact that anything that's worth doing takes time, doing well. So we are, our community here in Southeast Florida, we're very blessed to have an outstanding teacher. I would say he's one of a dozen around the world that has the skills and talent to teach me what I'm looking for. But it really it depends on what you want. If you want something that's simple, just to improve your balance and your steadiness, calmness, etc., you don't necessarily go to the depth and to the breadth that I have, but Tai Chi will help, and obviously Qigong as well. So anyway, that's a long introduction.
Okay.
Because I know you practice it too, right, Doug?
Yes, I do. And I'll talk a little bit about that. In this forum, you're the professional, and I'm very eager to hear more about what you have to say. I know that when it comes to the word meditation, there's the Christian thought that prayer and reading the Bible is a form of meditation, which of course it is. But I believe that that's where we're filling our mind or renewing our mind, right? The Bible says, renew your mind. Whereas I think the arts that you're talking about are more about emptying our mind. And I believe that there's a benefit in both. And so I want to kind of clarify that for a minute, because people get a little mixed up, particularly religious people. They go, well, meditation is taboo, or it's, God created the earth and everything in it. And that includes the frequency, our minds, and whether we fill them or clear them, we're attaining a goal to get closer to the creator and to know ourselves better. So meditation can be kind of confusing for people. I'd like to simplify it if we can. I believe that you can do the simplest movements, and this is why Tai Chi became so interesting to me, because I just started out with very simple movements. The first movement I was taught, and this wasn't supposed to be a lesson, but there are some very simple things that people can do. If you just grab the back of a chair and you put your hands on the chair and you slowly move your body from the left to the right, just ever so much, as slowly as you can, while you're focusing on your breathing. You can do this at any time of the day for a minute, 30 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever you want. You're clearing your mind for that moment from the outside world and the confusion that's going on and all this input that's coming into us. And you're giving your mind time and your body time to relax and also to heal. This is from my introspective of how I get what I get out of it, is just that when I'm always thinking and thinking and thinking, I don't ever have time to rest my mind. And when my mind isn't resting, my body isn't healing. So what I do is I go outside in the backyard and I do some Tai Chi movements for about a half hour. But throughout the day, I also do some very basic movements. Like I will just squeeze my hands and release them. And by squeezing and releasing, I'm releasing the chi or the energy or the stress that I have during the day. And I breathe a little when I do that. And so we can do very simple motions. I know, Ed, you have another one with your hands you'd probably like to share with us about putting a protection barrier around us. But I thought we'd talk a little bit about the importance of starting the basics of meditation, without having to get into learning a full system of movements, although that is the ultimate, I think, goal. So would you like to maybe talk a little bit of that, maybe disagree, agree, whatever you think?
Well, you're correct. One can achieve what you're really referring to as being present. So by being present, that can happen at any moment. You can create that feeling is really what we're talking about by doing just about anything. Emptying your mind when you're doing dishes, for example. It's a mechanical process, and I'm sure that when one does that, I like to wash dishes every now and again, not often, but every now and again in the sink. I enjoy cooking. For me, it's a release, and it's also a way of meditating. The other thing is, when one is practicing Tai Chi or Qigong, you are so focused on what you're doing, you're so present in what you're doing, that it is impossible to be distracted. In fact, whenever we're running a group class, the master always says, look, don't disturb anyone, don't talk to anybody, because the participants are basically in the zone, right? So whether it happens to be Reiki or Qigong or Kalahari, I guess, in India, or it could be any form of martial arts, you're really connecting into a higher vibration anyway. And in fact, now that you bring it up and you want to go in that direction, there's an excellent book that's been written by David Hawkins. It's called Power versus Force, and I believe it's page 68. Yeah, on page 68, there's a grid here that shows you the vibrational measure. It's called the map of consciousness. And for example, we have, Jesus and other high functioning luminaries like Buddha and others, they're at 1,000. And then you take murderers and thieves and so on, and they're probably around 20 or 30 vibrational level. So, I consider myself to be somewhere in the middle. like around 400 or 450, which means that I'm more connected to reason and understanding abstraction. 500 is love, 540 is joy, 600 is peace, and 7 to 1,000, you're talking about ascended masters. So again, Power versus Force by David Hawkins. This is a pretty good book to read and to learn more about it. So in any event, yeah, we're talking about 0 point, reaching 0 point, reaching oneness. And certainly both of the disciplines that I know of, I've also learned was a form of meditation. It'll come back to me in a moment, but I'm pretty much focused on Qigong and Tai Chi.
Mhm.
And when one does these particular practices, not only are you helping yourself, but you're emitting a frequency of energy around you. Now, that frequency of energy is unintentional and it affects people around you. People will come up to you and give you a smile, and they'll start a conversation. A child will smile. It's amazing what happens. And what that does, besides what I described earlier, it also creates a magnetic effect that it will draw good circumstances, opportunities, and the right people at the right time for the highest purpose.
No question about it. No question
And,
about it.
and the converse is also true. Because of that, we're vibrating at 500, 600, whatever it is. Those people at the lower frequencies cannot come to you. It's not compatible. It's like two magnets that are opposite energies and they repel. So you're repelling that stuff. Now, you talked about a mudra. What you can do is take your thumb, fold it into your palm, and bring your four fingers on top of it. And you say, okay, I'm going to have a safe voyage from my home to wherever the food store and return without incident. So that, there's some simple things you can do. It's a mindset. But again, it is important to realize and accept the fact that if you expect a result, you have to have an input. If you have no input, you'll get no output. It's as simple as that. So I have found that this has helped me tremendously, the ways that I've described. And also, over the years, I had problems with regard to asthma and pneumonia, COPD, blah, blah, blah. I'm not taking any medication anymore. And it's due to the fact I'm convinced of this practice. So everything builds up over the course of time. And do I have to actually tell you that I call them fallen angels? The fallen angels are trying to kill us. They don't like us because we vibrate at such a high frequency that it causes a problem for them. So not only is this for my benefit, it's for my own personal health, but I know that it's having an impact on people around me. And if you've ever heard of Dolores Cannon, she was a hypnotist that became very proficient and an expert in past life regression. And she became very connected to spirit and said, there was the post-war generation, the baby boomers and so on. They all came with a certain software, quote unquote. And they weren't able to affect the changes that were expected on Earth. Now, all the newer generations, my grandchildren and so on, they come with a much higher software and are wired totally differently. I can see it in how they behave, their intelligence, their cognition. It's absolutely amazing. They have become the antennas of this energy for the benefit of all of the population on this earth. So, there were a few of us around before. We were spread out all over the world and we created a net, if you will, of energy. And they didn't want us to be concentrated in any particular spot because we could be assaulted, etc. But because we're spread out, it's more difficult to get at us or to us. But now things are happening at such a pace that all of the newer generations are coming equipped with this higher vibration, higher frequency. And we are seeing massive changes. It looks chaotic now, But, you know, in order to have the new, you have to get rid of the old. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I think what's so difficult for the average person to get to a point where they can meditate in any way or clear their mind is that there's just this habitual go, 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 go energy. We open our eyes in the morning and we're on a clock and we're on a schedule and we're moving, 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 moving. And the hardest part for me when I first started to learn the discipline was to slow down and to breathe, to remember to breathe and to slow down. And what we want to do, and it's just natural, we'll start to do any series of form, whatever the motions are, whether it's just simply breathing, our mind will be wandering, our mind will, be racing. And we don't want to slow down. We want to finish the task of doing the meditation or doing the movements, and we want to get back to what we were doing. And so what I continually say to myself over and over again as I'm going through this is, Doug, there's plenty of time to do whatever I have to do later. I'll get to that later. Stay in where I am right now, stay in the moment. And I continually say that. And when we get to that point where we can just slow down, stay in the moment, whether it's breathing or doing a simple motion like the chair motion or any movements that you would learn from a teacher like Ed or others, is just to stay in the moment and to clear our mind and say, we'll get to everything else we have to do later. There's plenty of time to do it. And once we do that, something happens, and it's magical in a way, because once we're in that moment, we find the peace. There's this overwhelming peace that comes over me, and I'm just tranquil and I'm comfortable, and I can feel the presence of the Creator. I can feel the presence of the frequencies coming in through the ground up to my head and out my arms. I can feel the frequencies. I'm alive, and I feel like my body is healing at that very moment. And so this is the most important part of this whole discussion for me, is that people understand it doesn't take that much, but it's very difficult to slow down to the pace where we're not running in the world. And you can do that so many different ways, and I can't urge people to try it enough. And so, Ed, maybe you can give some hints on how people can simply do that, because my goal, like yours, is to introduce people to this peace and this power and the clarity and the health that comes from it. And so are there any introductory ways that you can recommend for our listeners that they can start, to find that?
Well, again, let's say that you happen to be a senior and you're having some trouble walking, as you very astutely said. Grab onto the back of a chair and just sway from side to side. And just being able to do that, and then you release one hand and you release both hands, and you'll be able to become more confident and stronger. Doing squats. We are somewhat spoiled here in the Western world because we have chairs. Well, I'm one of the few people in my class that can actually squat. I've lived in all kinds of parts of the world, but by squatting, that's how most people, relax, and they consume their meals squatting and so on. So building up your thigh muscles and so on is very, very important. And then the other thing is, just you can also buy DVDs. There's a ton of DVDs out there. There's some that are, very simple. Some are more elaborate, but I would suggest just buying one that has 10 movements, 7 movements, whatever, to get started. And then if you like it, find a teacher somewhere. And they're all over. They're more and more around today than there ever were. And there's some teachers that do a lot of traveling to teach as well. However, at the end of the day, depending upon how profoundly you want to get involved, you'll want to find a good teacher that has a following. So the DVDs are obvious. And you can find some stuff on YouTube too. You don't have to spend the money to buy a DVD. There are a number of them.
So the idea is just start somewhere
Yeah,
and take your time, be patient with yourself. Don't expect to become a master overnight. It takes time, like anything else. Perfect practice makes perfect. And but I do think that once you start clearing your mind and putting the world aside for short moments of the time, you'll almost find it a bit addicting. You'll want that peace, and you'll start to crave it, and eventually it becomes part of your daily routine, and then eventually it becomes your entire day. And
yeah,
that, I think, especially in the years ago, I used to challenge myself and say, I'm going to try to pray every minute of the day. And it was an interesting challenge, but I did get to days where even when I was talking to someone, I could be communing with the creator. In some way, I was allowing that channel to be open. And we can do the same thing with the meditation. As we find that peace, we can really turn it on and off and get there and be in that moment where we can put everything else aside and just relax and
yeah,
be at peace with the world and let the frequencies in and out and flow. So
yeah. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that the meditation that I learned many years ago is called transcendental meditation. And the point that you raised about people being preoccupied, about getting back to their tasks and so on. If you know the Lord's Prayer, there's nothing to worry about because provide us with our daily bread. It's there. You just have to trust, right? So there's nothing to be concerned about. And ultimately, we have an obligation to Creator to do the work on this plane, on this earth. And you can't do it unless you've taken care of yourself first. So you can't do it when you're sick. And obviously, if you don't take care of yourself, you will get sick. Yes, you can go to get repaired, etc. But isn't it much better if you did the proper maintenance? And qigong and tai chi is one of two of many that are out there. Yoga and other stuff. But I'm very I'm very committed to the disciplines I've mentioned to you. They work for me, and I've seen the benefits for me, but also that other people who have learned from me, if they practice it, they will benefit from it without a doubt. So
yeah,
that's what I wanted to leave you with.
the health benefits are enormous. We got a little bit of time left, and I want to say this morning I woke up and my left back was hurting. I didn't know why. I was probably doing some chores that I hadn't done in a while, and it was bothering me most of the day. And before we did this call, I finally got out to the backyard, and I took off my shoes as I usually do, and got my feet in the grass to ground. And I went and started to do my Tai Chi movements. And some of them I do where I bend over and touch the ground and breathe through as I come up through my vertebrae. And I got to tell you, my back is 100% right now. I don't have any feeling in my back. I attribute it to the fact that I cleared my mind. I was at peace. My body was able to relax fully. Within the relaxation, my blood vessels opened, and whatever tension was there, whatever muscular problem was happening, it relaxed. It healed itself like my body is meant to do, the frequencies and so forth. And by the time I got out of it, it wasn't front of mind anymore, and it was gone. And now we're not saying that this is a cure-all for every disease and everything on the planet, but I'm telling you, there is no better health benefit than grounding and clearing your mind and breathing. And many of us just don't breathe. I cannot tell you how many people I see and their mouth is closed and they're breathing through their nose and the mouth. I was a gymnastics coach for about 20 years, and that's another conversation. But I would always tell my students to breathe in your nose and out your mouth, in your nose and out your mouth. And I see so many people with their mouth closed, and that breathing is so important throughout the day, to be conscious of your breathing. But I want to talk a bit about frequency and grounding. Could you just touch on that while we have a couple of minutes, Ed, please?
Yeah. Before we go there, I just want to point out that one of the things that we do in qigong, particularly, is to breathe in and out through your nose. Why? Because it creates nitric oxide, and what does that do? It relaxes you. So just so you know, and you want to breathe from the abdomen to the diaphragm and then your lungs, and work that way the whole time. So that's one of many ways of doing breath work, but it is very clearing. And when you also, just as a quick insight is if you exhale more than you inhale, by the way, you're getting rid of carbon dioxide, which gets stored in your body because generally we're very shallow breathers. Okay, what was your question?
Well, the question was just the importance of grounding and how the
Oh,
grounding works in with our frequency and the cleansing and the healing of the body. I know it's a big subject, but you've got a couple of minutes, so.
yeah. So basically, when you're talking grounding, it really means connecting with the earth. The earth resonates at 7.83 hertz. It is a healing energy. And as you heard, Doug was outside just this morning, barefoot. The reason we do things barefoot on the ground is because the soles of our feet, SOLES, the soles of our feet have the most sensitive and the most capable ability to absorb energy, right? And we harmonize with the vibration of the earth, and we also vibrate at 7.83. Look, we come from nature, dust to dust, that whole thing. That's us. So we have been so disconnected intentionally by those people that to return to nature, um, for me, it's going to the beach in the morning. We went this morning, my wife and I, to watch the sunrise, and there's nothing more satisfying than to see that and to connect with the energy of the sun as well, which is yang energy. And if you can stare at the sun when it's rising, and it's very healing. In fact, it'll clear your pineal gland and it energizes it. So you can walk in the
It's called sun gazing, correct?
right, and you can go into the woods, mountain area. I mean, you just feel so much more peaceful when you're in nature. So I would encourage everybody to do that. We're lucky; we're kind of in a suburban area, but I know of one holistic doctor who moved out to the middle of Missouri. And when we asked him, well, why'd you do that? Because there's no stress there, zero, nothing, as opposed to being in New York City or Los Angeles or Miami, etc. The cities, the urban areas create a lot of stress. Now, for us to be able to meditate, do what we do in these environments, it puts us at a higher level, in my opinion, than some of the monks that are in the caves in the Himalayas, in India and in China. They have no stress there. We have a lot of stress that keeps on coming at us. And if we do what we do, and we do it with success is a broad definition, then we are able to achieve the same results that these monks do, whether it's a Wudang temple or the Shaolin temple or whatever temple. So nature is very important. Don't ignore it. And it really rejuvenates and helps to stay balanced, really, at the end of the day, right?
No question about it. I do everything I can. Yesterday, I took my bike, and I'm lucky enough, 3 miles, I rode down to the beach, and there's a little area on the intercoastal, and it's got a lot of these old trees there. And I just went in a little nook on the sand, and I did my Tai Chi, and then I rode my bike home. And it was it was like a vacation, just
Right.
to get away for a half hour, 45 minutes from the rat race of the world and everything going on. And we do need to disconnect. And some people don't have that, but everybody can find a little piece of grass with a tree. Sometimes just put your hand on a tree, and
Yep.
and you can get the foliage actually frequency, it communicates, the plants communicate with each other. And so we can communicate with the nature as well. And sometimes if you just have a tree and some grass, that's all you need. And just to take a moment and connect with
Right.
creation, and disconnect from the outside world, the
Yep.
cabal world that they've been feeding us with.
Yeah.
So
The other thing I want to
Yeah.
point out is the timing of the day, if you can make it up, but some people are not early morning people. But nature at sunrise wakes up too. And I've been told, and I believe it, that at that point, all the trees are waking up and they're pumping out the maximum amount of oxygen. So they're absorbing our carbon dioxide, right? And they're returning to us oxygen. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time, Ed, and this is really nice for you and I to come together. We're usually doing all kinds of other things, and this network has kept us both very, very busy. And I would be remiss if I didn't announce that you might not even know this, that I think today is our 1 month anniversary at WTPN.
Oh, wow, cool.
Congratulations, Ed, for your support and your participation. I think
Well, thank you, Doug.
yeah, I think we've got almost 20 or more videos that podcasts have been done in that short time. It's just remarkable how it's gone and how the support we've gotten. Everybody's very excited. I also wanted to mention that we do have some of our merchandise. We have our new shirts available, We the People shirts. And so you can go to the website at WTPN Live. And, you know, if you're looking to support and help promote, we appreciate it because we are self-funded. But we really did want to come out today and speak from the heart. And both, this is from our hearts, mine and Ed's and my heart to you, to say that it is important to just slow down, take some time for yourself, take care of yourself, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot take care of others. And if we're going to be in service to others, we also need to be in service to ourselves. And so
Right.
we need to focus inwardly, and then by doing that, we'll be able to express our frequency outwardly and be at peace and put out a frequency of love and generosity, kindness, and service to others. So, Ed, if you'd like to just close us out.
Yeah, I have a website called universalqigong.net. It's being worked on right now, but there's a lot of testimonials there. It talks about Qigong generally and Tai Chi as well. So if you want to find out more, but more importantly, talk about get other people's views on what it's about. The emphasis has been predominantly on Qigong, and we can talk about that at a separate time. But there's some good information there for you. So
okay, great. We'll put that in the description below so people can go there and take a look. And if you have any questions for Ed, you can reach him at wtpn.live@gmail.com, and we'll get those over to him, or there are other ways to contact us. So we'll put all that in the description below. And we appreciate your time. And Ed, thank you so much. And I appreciate all your insight.
thank you, Doug. Really appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Really take care of yourself first. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and God bless. We the People Network, Ed and Doug signing out. Have a good day.